Hello, adventurers! My name is Chance, welcome to my spellbook, and thank you so much for tuning into the fifth race we're going to be covering over here in the race series. Today we're going to be taking a look at the half-elf. The half-elf was introduced in the player's handbook and had a really interesting history in the Adventures League community. When 5e was relatively new, everyone was playing half-elf. Literally everyone. This was before the variant human came out, so the half-elf made the most sense for any min-maxers. In addition to that, it also got Darkvision, and a lot of DMs were using darkness, and it probably, looking back at it now, that habit probably tainted a lot of decisions that are still made today. In any case, the half-elf is still perfectly viable, it's still thriving quite well. Since the variant human was released, there was a pretty steep dip in its popularity. However, I feel like Tasha's Cauldron of Everything, with its ability score flexibility, might actually bring the half-elf back with a vengeance, although it's a little bit too early to say. In any case, before we dive into the half-elf, I urge that you please check out the full playlist by either clicking on that little eye icon up above there, or instead waiting until the end of the video to check out the end card. With that out of the way, let's take a look at their naming conventions. Half-elves are relatively interesting, seeing as how they're literally half-elf and half something else, usually human, like 99.9% of the time human. As a result, half-elves use either human or elven naming conventions, as if to emphasize that they don't really fit into either society. Half-elves are usually given elven names if raised in human societies, and often given human names if raised among the elves. This is really weird and sets up an interesting dynamic for your character. But as a result, they're kind of pushed into adventuring, if not for being shunned elsewhere. It's a cool little twist on their character that kind of sets them with this feeling that they might never belong anywhere. That being said, it's kind of weird in human society because they're fine as heck. Half-elves are freaking beautiful creatures. A lot of people are like, oh, but tieflings, yeah, I get it, sure. But in reality, well, in fantasy reality, if you want to look at it like that, there's no way in hell every tiefling is going to be related to a succubus. There's just no way. Like, you're going to have some weird demigorgon ones with, like, tentacles instead of fingers. I mean, you might be into that, but regardless, they're not all big-breasted, small-winged, you know what I'm saying. They're not all like that, but all half-elves are beautiful, without question. I can't think of a single way you can make a half-elf ugly. Even the drow half-elves would still be fine as heck. In any case, with that little tangent out of the way, let's move on to their traits now. In terms of their age, half-elves are a little weird as well. So they mature at the same rate as humans do, and they reach adulthood around age 20, but they live a heck of a lot longer than your average Joe, often exceeding 180 years. That's their elven blood speaking, of course. They're still really short-lived in comparison to a lot of elves, especially if you get into like the more Feywild Eladrin, or even the Shadar-kai. However, I feel like 180 years, 200 years, that's kind of where you want to sit. Especially, that's kind of around like dwarven territory, so yeah, I feel like that's kind of the huge. In terms of size, they're usually between 5 to 6 feet tall. Their size is considered medium. And in terms of alignment, they have a chaotic bend to them, primarily due to their elven heritage. Elves are inherently very free-spirited, so the chaotic bend is due to that. They value both personal freedom and creative expression, demonstrating neither love of leaders nor desire for followers. This is pretty cool and makes them ideal party members. They're going to really just assist you out of the generosity of their heart. They're not going to feel any sense of loyalty out of fear or spite towards you, so they're pretty trustworthy overall. Now let's move on to some of their mechanics. By raw, they get a +2 to charisma and +1 to 2 other ability scores. Tasha's Cauldron of Everything kind of made it so you can put whatever, wherever, all willy-nilly like. However, most dungeon masters are like, nah, man, you got like over 30 options. You'll be fine, man. So for that reason, I don't know, consult your dungeon master. In terms of speed, they get your average 30-foot walking speed. It's not bad, not great, just what it is. In terms of languages, they can speak, read, and write Common, Elvish, and one extra language. Consult your dungeon master before you take an exotic or an ancient language. Pretty please. I refuse to believe that there is any level 1 adventurer who can speak full Celestial. I refuse to believe that. There's no way in heck you're a level 1 and can speak the language of the gods. The only exception, maybe Asmar, maybe even Eladrin, maybe. Outside of that, you can buzz off. There's no way in heck your average half-elf is going to be able to speak Primordial, or Celestial, or Infernal. No dice. No cigar. Unless you have like a really messed up backstory, man. But even, I don't know, consult your dungeon master. They also gain access to one of the holy grail of abilities, Darkvision, up to 60 feet. Pretty dang good. There are a lot of races that get Darkvision in this game, so it's often overlooked, unless, of course, you happen to pick a race that doesn't get Darkvision, in which case you are going to be the butt of a lot of jokes, which is all in good taste, of course, and there are, of course, ways of getting Darkvision, spells, magical items, abilities, or even cheesing the heck out of the Find Familiar spell. But in any case, it's nice to be able to have it just for, being you, or I guess who your parents were, but in any case, it's nice to have it just because. But that's not all our lovely half-elf gets. They get some more goodies, so let's check those out. Much like the elven half of their family, they get Fey ancestry. You have advantage on saving throws against being charmed, and magic can't put you to sleep. This is really helpful at early levels, where you have to deal with that pesky sleep spell. I admit, as a spellcaster, there have been numerous occasions where I have accidentally put party members to sleep because they're so goddamn weak. Pike, if you're listening, I'm sorry, man, but that was pretty much how that played out. In any case, with this nice trait, Pike wouldn't have been put to sleep like a little weakling, so it's pretty cool. And they also gain access to one of the holy grail of abilities, or traits rather. They'll gain skill versatility. You gain proficiency in 2 skills of your choice. That's right, just 2 of your choice, whatever it is. This is actually best left decided until after you pick your class and your background. Just to the sheer versatility of it, you can really afford to pick and choose what you're lacking. For that, I think it's a absolutely great trait. Now let's move on to my personal thoughts. I think the half-elf is, at least by raw, one of the most customizable races out of the gate. They're not super exciting, granted, at least not all of them. There are a handful of the sub-races that I'm like, damn, man, and you let this in the book. But outside of those, as a whole, it's just a good race. Like, I can't think of any real drawbacks to this. Even if you're in, like, a very, like, racially driven kind of story, and there's, like, knife ears and terms like that being thrown around, half-elves are just kind of meh. Like, I don't know of a single human who would be like, yeah, you're ugly. Especially since he got, like, that massive +2 to charisma out of the gate, and, like, no one picks charisma as a dump stat. There are a handful of people, I guess, but it's not, like, a decision that's made in seriousness. It's usually a decision made for better roleplay. In any case, they're just great. As far as good classes go with them, anything involving charisma is their modifier. So Warlock, Paladin, Sorcerer, Bard, those guys. As well as any characters you just want to be charismatic, so I see a lot of half-elf rogues. But they are not bad in any way, not really, so feel free to make them whatever, especially with the Tasha's rule set if you're running it. Yeah, just have them do whatever. That being said, let me know what you think of the half-elves down beneath in the comment section. Be sure to mention any thoughts, questions, comments, concerns, ideas, or stories of your own. And if you'd like to get access to a free one-shot written by yours truly, check out the Guild Hall and use code WELCOME to get yours, link in the description. And I'm starting up a new channel. It's kind of like a choose-your-own-adventure D&D campaign. I hope you guys get a kick out of it. It should be really good. I'm so pumped, even just thinking about it now. I'm so pumped. So feel free to check that out. I'll link my other channels in the pinned comment. So feel free to take a look. I really do appreciate it. With all that out of the way, I hope you all have a wonderful day. And as always, happy adventuring.